G'day! Aussie Bonsai Bloke here you go. Well, today is the same day that I worked on that trident maple that I rushed in the morning. But, good news. Finished going out last night, finished the putt-putt golf with the daughter and her friend and my son and wife, the family. And we had a great time there, really good fun, did putt-putt, went out for lunch, went to the lolly shop. That was a mistake, kids no, they're still pretty good, amazing. But anyway, finally I can just, tone it back, just relax. And to be honest, I was just going to sit back and relax and work on a tree, because after all that lawn work that I've done last weekend, planting all the agapanthus and just being so flat out, I just wanted to sit back and enjoy working on a tree and not really have to think about much, just do it, just to wind down and relax. But then I thought, no, you know what, I'll just wind down, relax, talk to you fine folks, make another video. It might be a long-winded video because I'm not in no real hurry and I'm just gonna chill out, work my way through this tree, and however long it takes, and that's it with this one. I'm just gonna cruise my way through it, take my time, relax, how you would normally do it at home if you've got plenty of time. I'm just in a rush for some of my trees because, like this one, it's shooting out, all the buds are opening, the leaves are coming out, and there's still quite a few that need repot and stuff like that, and just some cleaning up and some hard cuts done. So I'm a little bit under the pump with that, but not too bad. Like, I did downsize the collection and it's all doable. I just need to actually spend some time doing it, but don't worry, we're getting to it. Did one last night, one this morning, doing one now. So we are getting through it. As far as all the lawn mucking around and planting plants, that's done. So let's get to it. Having said that, tomorrow I'm not home because I'm going windsurfing for the day. Told me mates that I'm gonna unwind and go windsurfing with them. But so that one's on me. Not being able to work on the trees tomorrow, that's on me. It's my fault. Anyway, we had a great fun time with family and the daughter's friend, so it's all good, great day. Anyway, so let's get into this tree. So, as the title suggests, this is work on a neglected pomegranate, something like that. So anyway, this tree, I've had in a previous video where I carved it, I think, and just squashed something yuck with my finger, a big spider I think, yuck. That's disgusting. I think I just squashed a big black spider with my finger. That was disgusting. Hate those things. Just keeping an eye out for spiders. What was I saying? Yeah, I have done a previous carve video on this, and I think I did a video where I wired it. There's wire cutting in on it now, so I've got to take wire off. Obviously weed it, and then I might even see if I can get it into a pot, see if I can find a pot. Might even put it into that, maybe put it into that pot that I had the red gum in. There might even be another one of those similar pots. They do have that crappy lip though that holds your plants into the pot too well when you go to repot them. but luckily I'll be putting this pomegranate in it, so when I need to repot, I don't mind having a few roots cut off when you cut around the edge of the pot to be able to pull it out. I don't mind it too much, so it's probably going to be okay. It's just going to be annoying when I have to try and pull it out, that's all. And then I'll get tempted to smash the pot again. Anyway, absolutely beautiful temperature today. It's hovering around the 25 mark here. Just an absolutely beautiful day. Loving it. Oh, I got a tough weed there, so I'll have to wait till repot. I wasn't going to weed it, I was just going to leave it, but I need to weed it somewhat, just so that we can see what's going on. I'll probably edit some of this out because I've got to take wire off, and that's pretty boring. Even on the best day, that's pretty boring to watch. Everyone will fall asleep. Okay, so we go to that stage. So now I'll just see how much wire's on here first. So a little bit on here, a little bit there, a bit over there. Yeah, I can probably just cut it off here while you guys are here. No, I will fast forward it. It's such a boring thing to watch someone do. I've explained it before. You just cut it off. That branch has actually died where it's, yeah, it has. The whole branch died where it got cut in with the wire too much. This last year I neglected so many trees. This was one of them. Never touched it, I don't think, for the whole year. It just sat there. As you can see by the weeds, the wire that's cut in. But it's pretty cool. This pomegranate, I'm just trying to think of a bit of history of it. I think, I could be wrong, but I think I grew this pomegranate from a cutting, well sorry, it was a cutting from the nursery basically, I think. And I grew it on from a cutting in the ground. Pretty sure that's what happened. I grew it on from a cutting, put it in the ground, and just let it grow in the ground. And I think I had it in the ground for 4 years or so. Again, it's similar to that big Chinese elm I've got. I reckon I put it in the ground about the same time as that big Chinese elm. If you guys watch all my videos or not, I don't know. But the same time I did that big Chinese elm is when I did this one, and I put it in the ground for 4 or 5 years, got it out the ground, and it's been probably nearly 4 years in development now. First few years were quite productive, did a carve on it as well, and this last year negligible. Anyway, of whether or not I've gained anything in this last year, I think I still have. I think we've still gained ramification and stuff out of it. I think it burnt in the frost a couple of times. There's a really bad section that's cut in. I'm just going to cut the whole branch off. The branch is alive and it had good ramification, but it would be just so hard to pull that wire off. One, I can't be bothered, and two, I think it would just do more damage and kill that branch in the long run anyway. Ah, this thing just spiked me. I didn't think they had that bad spikes. I What you spot me for, son? So, just take this wire off. And if you guys want to fast forward to when the wire's off, that's fine. If you want to watch, you know, I might have something dumb to say while I'm taking the wire off. Probably not. Probably just mumble my way along here and maybe talk about what I'm doing. So there's a piece here that I reckon I can just get off. Piece of wire that cut in, and it's on a good little bit of ramification that if I snap that off or cut that off, then I have to keep the longer straight a bit, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm trying to get rid of it. Get rid of the wire off that branch without wrecking that branch. It will be hard because it has cut in pretty damn well. Just such a pity that I did this to the tree. Just should have. I don't even know why I wired it really. I've wired up quite a few of these little branches. And to be honest, it would have done fine on its own. I've now taken the step of not wiring all these little branches and just doing clip and grow. I think I'm just gonna have to cut that little piece off. It's just too bad. See, the reason I'm deciding I'll probably go with more clip and grow now is unless you're really on to wiring all the time and really making sure that you don't let it cut in too bad, you end up actually taking steps backwards and not forwards. Whereas wires are meant to, you know, speed up the process of bonsai, put branches where you want them without having to wait for them to grow where you want them. But if you leave the wire on and it cuts in, it actually slows that whole process down. Then that branch dies. Instead of where it might have grown out into the spot you wanted it anyway, if you just did a cut to a bud that was facing in that direction and let that bud grow, you've actually then have to cut it off, and then the next year let something grow anyway. So I feel like unless you're right on taking the wire off on time, you might actually be better off not wiring it in the first place. I do definitely believe on wiring bonsai. After saying all of that, I still believe in wiring bonsai in the initial stages to set the main branch structure and possibly the secondary. But I'm out into the tertiary or even the fourth lot of branching. I don't know what you call fourth, but you have the first branch, secondary branching, tertiary branching, and I'll say fourthary branching, but I know it's not now. I know it's something else, but I'm just too dumb to work that out. But yes, it's something. Quadery, maybe we'll call it quadery. Quadery branching. Someone will be able to help me out with that word, but anyway, that's where this tree's at in some areas. It's actually gone well past secondary branching, and I believe once you get past secondary branching, wiring, at least for me, with the amount of trees I've got, is a complete waste of time. And I don't mind the natural look of a little bit of craziness of branches. It's fine if they're a little bit natural and a little bit crazy on where their direction goes and all of that. I just find that I do more damage like this. Okay. Getting there. Last couple branches, not too bad. Going pretty well. As you can see, there's so many branches on this tree. I'm actually going to be excited to see this tree after I'm finished because there's a lot of bloody branches on here. Let's cut this apart a bit. I know you probably can't see much from where you are, but to be honest, I'm too lazy to go and get the camera and bring the guys up here to show you how to unwire it. I have shown it in the past. There's a video where I unwire and I go into a bit more detail there. Like I said, I just want to cruise through the tree, just work on it. It's almost like a live feed without quite being live. You can't ask questions, but it is pretty well live. Actually, I think I might do that one day. Just see what my internet reception is like. I think someone might be here. Welcome back. Well, I've got you a bit closer. Just kill the spider. Got you a bit closer to the tree, so maybe you might actually see something. Turns out there is someone here. They come to pick up my daughter's friend. Might be a bug in there, but the wife's keeping them entertained, so might stand here with you guys. Okay, another dead branch. We're alive. Yeah, we're slightly alive, but dead now. Yeah, some of these branches are so small. I don't know what I was thinking wiring. Maybe I did like a wire demonstration video and I just felt like wiring out everything. I don't know, but I don't think I don't think you'll ever see me wiring out such small branches ever again. It just changed my whole philosophy. You know, try to put less hands on the tree while still getting a good result will be my philosophy. You can see how dense this thing is with all its ramifications. It's just absolutely nuts. There is buds shooting over this whole thing. Nearly everything on here is still alive. Just absolutely crazy. There's big reverse taper in the trunk here. Bit of carving, but you know, character. It's all character. I'm just looking to see if I've got more wire. Hang on. Don't you hate that? You're looking, oh yeah, I've got all the wire off, I think, and then you see a really badly cut in one that you know is going to be hard work getting out. So let's get into that one, get that one out. Sorry, I'll stop my winding in a minute. I just don't like getting wire out. I would sooner weed a plant than take wire off. And that's probably the biggest reason why I'll probably not wire such small branches again, because I absolutely hate taking wire off. So it's not really it's not a how-to, because seriously, if you are keen enough to pull this wire off and stay on it before it cuts in like this. I literally put this wire on last winter, I think, and left it on through the whole of summer, which is crazy for a deciduous tree not to ever take it off. But if you are keen and happy to try and take the wire off mid-spring or whatever, go for it. I will warn you, it's very hard to take wire off a well ramified tree in the middle of late spring or summer unless you fully defoliate the tree, because to even see your way in there is extremely hard. You're doing bloody well if you can see into a deciduous tree that's as well ramified as this, but they're still wide and you need to get the wire off. You're doing very well if you can see into it without defoliating it, because I find it very hard and frustrating because you're constantly like this and then trying to work out where the wire goes, and it's so hard. We're getting there, we are getting there. It's actually surprising, I think, because I had the hot summer without shade over a lot of these trees, and I think my watering system, I don't think, well, it's an automatic watering system, but I don't think it packed up. I'm trying to think what I did. I reckon I fertilised trees one day and then left it on in the middle of summer. Fertilised the trees. When I fertilise the trees, I turn the watering system off just for that day, so I don't leach out all the good fertiliser that I've just put in. And I think I literally forgot to turn the water back on, and I think that's what cooked this one and a heap of others. They defoliated, lost all their leaves, and then reshot. And I think because it did have such a hard time, could be why the wire didn't bite in quite so bad. So now what I'm going to do, I think I've got the wire off. Looking. Yes, looks that way. What I'm going to do now is start from each branch and just thin it out a little bit. So, got the tree there and there. We've got a little branch here which I like its position, but it's just so slow to develop. This one here. Shouldn't I keep it? Shouldn't I? Get rid of that one. I'll keep it and see how well it grows this year. It's down really low. If it does grow from there, it's actually going to be at the same level as that one. No, I will go with the top one. I'll cut this one off completely, and I'll go with this upper one. And I can see here, these buds back here are alive, and on the end here they're dead. So I can see that it's died back to there, so that's where I'm going to cut that one back. Now I'm going to do 2 from any one location, 2 shoots, not 3. And like I say, only 2 shoots from each location. 3 you get a knuckle. I'll only do 2. Unless it's coming from the trunk, then occasionally I'll keep 3 or even 4. And I'll keep the stronger branches at the bottom, or the stronger branching structure. And at the top, I'll keep the weaker branching structure, because these are apically dominant, which means that they'll put on thicker, stronger growth at the top and weaker growth at the bottom. So you always want to keep stronger growth at the bottom, weaker growth at the top. If you do that, you'll be well on your way to balancing your tree and trying to keep it, you know, believable sort of ramification and twigging and all that sort of stuff. Because if you have the fatter, all your fatter branches at the top or thinner ones at the bottom, it's going to look a little bit funny. Actually, do you know what I think hit this? We had a bad frost the other day. It looks like these branches grew out and then got whacked by a frost. So I actually think they might shoot again, some of these branches that have just died off a little bit. I think they got bit by a frost. Because I can see this one has been. Another bit of wire. I'll just cut it back a bit. Remember, only 2 from each location, get rid of all the others. Still green, even this tiny little shoot here is still green, so maybe it just hasn't quite shot out enough for spring yet. Maybe it's still on its way to shooting out. Okay, 2 from each location, big thing. Make sure you keep that rule under control. It's one of your biggest rules. It can really change the look of your tree if you don't follow it. Especially with some deciduous trees like the hawthorn. The hawthorn, even if you only keep 2 branches, will still, I'm not joking, still end up with big fat knobs and reverse taper on the fine ramification, because I don't know, they just seem to get these big fat knobs. But anyway, very coarse sort of branching. These pomegranates actually have really fine branching and actually remind me a lot of the, I'd say, the crepe myrtle branching. Very similar to that. Get these thin little black looking branches that you think look dead, but they're not, they're still alive. So yeah, similar to the crepe myrtle. And get as fine as almost a Chinese elm as far as this little branching that you get on the edge, on the end of the branches. Almost as fine as a Chinese elm. So here we got a really strong straight bit with a weaker little branch, and we're getting up into the top of the tree. So I'm going to take out the strong straight bit, keep this more interesting branch next to it with a lot more ramification. Well, way more, because the other one was just dead straight, whereas this one's actually got some, you know, 3 branches off to it, so it's already well on its way. I'm literally just going to keep working my way through like this and try to keep it to 2 from each location. There'll be definitely spots where one, I might accidentally leave a 3rd branch, or 2, I might decide that it's just too bare without that 3rd branch. Like I say, there's no actual rules in bonsai, it's just a guideline. So there are times when you'd be better off keeping that 3rd branch, because it fills in a big hole that 1 could be ugly, or 2, it might cover up something in the tree that you want to hide. So you don't always cut it back to 2. You try to cut it back to 2, but not always. Okay, so we just keep trimming away. There's so many branches, it's going to take a while, but like I say, we've got all night, and I've got a fair bit of backup port where this come from. Don't worry about that. That is a solid glass of port. Just starting to get into the, you know, nice sort of wind down sort of state, relaxed state. I can hear the kids outside having fun, so that's good. Better than crying. Here's 3. Okay, so here we got 3 from one location. I like to keep some upward branches and some downward branches, or all sorts of branches, but here we've got one coming out on top of all this branching. And on this other branch where we've got 3, the one going up sort of gets caught up with this one coming out to the side. So I'm going to get rid of that one going up and just keep the 2 going out for that one. I hope you can see this. I know I should bring it in closer, but I'm just hoping that you can see it. If you can't, you'll have to imagine it. So now this one here has got its own space, and these 2 branches here have their own space. And then the reason I didn't keep the upward one there, I like to keep upward ones more than the down or out ones, is because we've got this good upward one here, which also comes out as a secondary branch or a tertiary branch. So what we'll do, just got to make sure, yeah, no, that's fine. I'll cut this back here. Just got to make a decision. Might even do that. Get rid of it. It was a bigger fat one with 2 little baby skinny ones on the side. I was going to cut the fat one out the middle and just keep 2 skinny ones. But I've actually chosen now to keep one, the big fat one, and a little baby skinny one. So that way I can keep the branch going up longer, and then choose to keep another fat one and skinny one, and then go up one more and keep the 2 thinner ones at the end. Okay, well no, that got too straight too quick, so we're going to cut it back. So we got the fat and the thin one, and then we just go to the thin one, and then that'll divide out pretty easy. So we'll leave it at that. Shorten the little twigs a bit. So you just want to shorten all the 2 shoots everywhere to create good ramification without too many straight long bits. Keep the interesting bits, get rid of the boring bits. If you can just keep interesting bits, get rid of the boring bits, you're well on your way to creating a good bonsai without even trying. So yeah, this pomegranate's going okay, it's growing well. Seems pretty healthy, like so many buds coming out. Hundreds and hundreds of buds. You know what that means? Hundreds and hundreds of branches. We're going to eliminate some now, but I'm sure in the future there'll be a lot more branches that need to be eliminated again next time. And how I manage that, I'm not sure. There's 2 ways I can manage it. I can either hedge it over the summer, simply just hedge it, which is what I think I did last summer. And then or maybe I didn't touch it, I'm not sure. And then after I hedge it for the summer, come back in winter and select branches. The other way of looking at it is to defoliate it, 100% defoliate the tree during sorry, I was thinking about which one I should keep. 100% defoliate the tree during summer, which allows you to see all the branches. Cut back all the branches you don't want, keep the ones you do, and let it shoot out again. So I can also do that. So I'm actually getting rid of a lot of ramification by cutting this back, because a lot of the ramification is actually caused because there's 3 or 4 branches from one spot or location. So I'm actually having to lose a lot because there's a lot of clumps where there's 3 or 4 branches from one area. So having to cut 2 of those off means you're losing half of the ramification that it grew. So you can quickly lose a lot of your branches like this once you start getting in there and working out what's growing, what's coming from where, what needs to go, what you need to keep. And if you've fallen asleep by now, I'm sorry, but I'm just in a relaxed mode, just chilling out, trimming this tree. Talk about some, not about some others. I mean cuts that I'm doing. I like to keep a lot of upward branches because it's deciduous, so quite often I'll opt for an upward branch over a branch that faces down. Another thing is too, if you get into the 2 smaller twigs, you don't actually have to choose right now back to 2. If you've got 4 shoots right at the end of a tip and they're such baby little branches, you do not have to go in there right now and choose which ones you're definitely going to keep and which ones you're definitely going to get rid of. You can wait till next year, or if you defoliate it in summer, you can wait until then to get in here and decide what you want to cut back or whatever. Yeah, I think it got hit by a little bit of a frost because some of these branches buds grew out and then hit a bit of a snag and went back to sleep. See, I accidentally kept 3 just then, cut another one off. Keep the more interesting. Oops, nearly cut through the one I wanted to keep. Not a big deal. Another one will grow. You know, you might think it's taken a while, but there is just almost galaxies of buds here. It's just insane how many shoots, buds and branching that's in here. And I'm choosing to keep most of it. Some branches are so thin. Some branches are so thin, but they're still keeping hold of, they're still budding out. So they still held life through the frosts and whatever, and now they're just starting to bud out. In fact, some of the stronger branches budded out first are now wishing they didn't because they got burnt. I know there's a big spider living in there. It could be the one that I've already squashed. Or there could be another. Yeah, we're just, I don't like to say it like this, but we're almost simplifying the branches by cutting them back to 2 from each location. There's so many cuts I have to do. It's just fun. I love this part of bonsai, just sitting here trimming and choosing the direction of the branches and which ones you want to keep. It's to me probably the most fun part once you get them to this semi-ramified sort of stage in their life where you can just sit down and trim it without wiring. Just decide what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of. Actually, what I will do in this video, because you guys have heard me rambling on here for hours, well, not hours, but a long time. What I might do in this video is actually put all of this on Hyperlapse. And if you want to, if you're actually here to watch this now, if you want to at the end, I'm going to do like a quick Hyperlapse of the whole lot. Really quick, everything. The whole process of trimming and everything, but without sound obviously, maybe with some music or maybe just me with a chipmunk, like that, you know. Who knows? But I think I will at the end, so if you want to fast forward to the end now, go for it. That's good. I don't blame you. I won't hold it against you because to be honest, I wouldn't watch me trim this for the next hour and a bit. Though I have watched some, I've almost watched grass grow on YouTube, not quite to that extent, but close. I watched a guy fish some live fishing thing, and he only caught 1 or 2 fish in 2 hours, and I sat there and watched the whole bloody thing. So I guess it can happen. You can sit there and watch something as boring as Aussie Bonsai Bloke trim a tree, maybe have a port. Talking about the port, it's nearly gone. So here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from one location. It's actually already creating a big knob there. 6 from one location, it's crazy. I don't really care too much about that reverse tape. I'm going to keep it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back all of the boring ones and just keep 2 of the more interesting ones with more branch, with more twigging on them, and that will reduce that area pretty well. Just such thin branches, I can't believe. After the frost and everything, they still have life in those little tiny branches. So you can see now, that area that I just showed you with the 6, a lot lighter, but it's got some good twigging in there. And in any of these branches now, there's only 2 forking out to another 2, to another 2, to another 2, whatever. But it's only 2 from each location now, and it's a lot lighter, but then also at the same time showing you a lot better structure. So it does really help to get in there and cut this stuff back, making sure that you do keep to that rule of 2. So it's a big rule that I think is probably one of the main rules that I would follow in bonsai. Rule / guideline. Pretty much all the other rules / guideline are very, very flexible, and I probably don't adhere to them very much at all, and nor should you guys, because a lot of the time if you stick to the rules you end up with a worse tree. And not only a worse tree, if you stick to the rules you end up with a non-natural bonsai style tree. You don't end up with a natural shrubby whatever, you know, like natural trees are shrubby, some of them, like the pomegranate. So yeah, if you follow every rule, yeah, you might end up with something that proportion wise looks like a nice tree with pads. You might even turn a deciduous tree into a pine as far as looks go. But to me that's boring, and all you've done is pretty much copy everything that's in most books, and you haven't actually gone out in nature, looked at a tree and actually seen how they grow. They have a lot of upward branches. They have 2 or 3 apexes at times. They have inverse taper. They have deadwood in deciduous trees. So yeah, anyway, working my way through. Getting there, you know, we are getting there. I hope you can see there's been a bit of a change from when we started. A few spikes on this tree, but not too bad. And I haven't, you know, not paid out the rules, but just said that most rules sort of don't apply. Like there would not be one tree that I own that does not break rules. I still think it's good that you learn the rules to start with, because the rules or guidelines actually do help you get something that's aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and it does give you a fair idea on how to look after a tree, or how to style it so it looks like a little tree or a big tree that's little. Even though it's not natural and looks maybe more like a bonsai, at least it still looks like a little tree in a pot. So I suggest that you still follow a lot of those little rules or guidelines, and then as you get more and more advanced and more comfortable with the rules that you got, then you go out and try and break them a little bit, and you'll find it hard. It's actually quite hard to then go and decide, okay, instead of a downward or a sideways branch, or 2 branches that fork, quite often you'll see, you'll have a branch like this. They'll say, choose the 2 that fork horizontal plane. Well, that's for a pine. Because if I'm choosing two that go on a horizontal plane, okay, say up here, now I've got two that go on a horizontal plane, you're going to end up with a flat pad. If you do that the whole way, you're going to end up with flat pads. And that's a pine. With a deciduous tree, quite often I like to choose, I'll make it more obvious, the up and down one. And then the next time they both divide, you might go horizontal. Then you might go up and down again. And that creates fuller, more random looking trees, and I think slightly, you know, better for bonsai, but well, for deciduous trees. But you do have to learn the basic sort of rules or guidelines for bonsai before you start straying and playing around, I think. Maybe someone else will know that's learned without following the rules. I don't know. But I do know it's actually hard to break the rules once you've got it into your head that's how to style it. And you have to actually then, it's almost like learning again when you learn to create more of a deciduous tree rather than a pine. It's actually almost like relearning again to be able to then say, okay, I don't want horizontal, I want vertical. And then every time you get to a branch like that, you actually got to think. It's actually hard to almost retrain your brain on how to do bonsai. So maybe it would be easier to do it from the start before it gets cemented in your brain to style them like a pine, to do it from the start like a deciduous tree. I'm not sure. I sort of learned from books and internet where most people did it like a pine, took it as gospel, started styling everything like that. Now years later, I wish I never did. But having said that, I've now sort of strayed outside of just styling it like a pine or a ladder tree. Ladder tree is in like a trunk with pad, almost like stepping up a ladder. I've now learned how to style it outside of that design, and it makes me appreciate the beginnings of bonsai more and what the actual rules or guidelines actually mean. I now know that they are there to help you, but should not be followed strictly. And there's some people that take up bonsai and 20 years later they still take those rules as gospel, as if it's like a religion, whereas I think you should always take them with a grain of salt, learn them, and then up to you later on whether you choose to do it or not. And also, instead of looking at other bonsai for inspiration, look at trees in the wild, see how they grow. See how trees in the wild grow. Anyway, we're getting down to the final cutting here. I hope I haven't bored you too much and waffled on too much. I know I have. Let me know if you guys sick of me, because I'm happy just to put all this on hyperlapse and not talk, and basically just trim the tree back to where it is now. I can do that, trim it back to where it is now, and then all you guys see is me trimming it back in hyper speed, and then maybe repot it and then a spin at the end. Or do you want to see me do this every single cut? Like, you've actually sat there, if you sat there and watched me cut every single cut on this whole tree, and there's been a lot of cuts, like I don't even know how many, good few hundred, and I'm pretty happy. There's very limited areas now with three branches from any location at all. they're pretty much only two. It could be the odd spot, but I tell you, there's not many. When I first started this video, there was a lot of spots where that was the case. So I've worked my way around the whole tree, and I think we're pretty done. G'day guys, welcome back. Had quite a bit of fun making this video, working on this tree. As you can see, it's starting to get some good ramification. Now, got me refill. I got three pots for you guys to choose from. And no matter which one you choose, it's not going to matter because it'll already be repotted. But it would be good to get some feedback. So anyway, I've got a small one, 4 pots. Small blue one, I feel that's way too small and I don't want to stress it going into summer, and it's only just starting to shoot. So it's probably actually a pretty good time to repot this one. I've got a plain brown one. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go like that. It might help you. Plain brown, very small blue. I feel like a brown's not going to suit it. Gets nice green foliage, it's deciduous. It gets quite big pomegranates on it. I don't even know if I've said it's a pomegranate tree. I think I have. That's the one that the red gum come out of. I might actually look at that myself. Yeah, that's not bad. It's actually better than I thought it would be. Put it like that. It's better than I thought it would be. Interesting. Very interesting. Or a square. This pot is actually a really cool pot. I don't know, it's got a lip on it, so it is pretty crappy in that regard, but it's got some really cool old patina on it. Marks and patina. I don't even think it's a special pot, I just love the old patina on it. Calcium deposits and stuff like that. So that's another thing, it can be in a square pot. I feel like that would probably be okay too. Square with round edges. Might not be. It might be too masculine for it, I'm not sure. But both of them hold similar amount of soil. And yeah, got a bit of a decision to make. I thought this pot on top now would not have suited it, but I feel like it suits better. But then mentally I like the bottom pot with the old patina and stuff on it more. What to do? I'm gonna have to take a little break. Have a look at that. I mean, it's still gonna look pretty good in that. And I had my heart set on putting it in there. But then the other one sort of suits it. But then if you think that it's got orange flowers with then the fruit, orange flowers would probably pop against the lighter colour with the white sort of patina better than it would pop against the brownish grey. Look, it's only for a couple of years. I'm just going to put it in a square one. It's probably a little bit too masculine for it, I guess you could say, but it does have the edges cut out of it to make it a little bit more feminine. And this one will have to wait for another day. I really don't think either of these pots are perfect for it. I think there's a better pot out there somewhere for it. Maybe even a bright blue or bright green glazed pot with no patina, just really bright. Could be better for it because it's going to have orange flowers. Maybe even a white pot, white glazed pot. Okay, so I'll take it off the turntable. Really happy with the ramification on this little tree. It's growing really well. You have to consider that I pretty much did not touch it over all of summer last year. I left wire on, let the wire bite in. And this beautiful little tree still provides me with all this ramification and health. Just a stunning little tree. Really robust. So there you go. Look at the beautiful roots, fine roots everywhere. Just absolutely beautiful. Some old mesh. Looks like I covered the whole pot with this mesh. Okay. Plenty of mesh. If I tap it out, oh yuck, I just flicked it all over myself, flicked it all over my legs, flicked it all over my guts. You idiot. So you can see I put that mesh there. I think it's like, I'll just do it to the side. I think it's like gutter guard or something, I'm not sure. I forget, I think it's gutter guard. So you can see these bits of mesh in here that I use as a screen for the holes. And now what I've got to do is I've got to get in here and work around the whole tree. I also put one right around the side because I had big holes in that pot where the soil was coming out. So you can see I actually put one right around the side of that pot. Wrapped it right around the side like that. There's plenty of gutter guard. So what I'm going to do now, I feel like I could. I'm just debating whether or not I should just cut a chunk off the bottom and then work it or not. Look, I might take a chunk off at a time. I'll go and get the saw. You know, if you guys weren't watching, this is how I'll do it. So this is how I'm going to do it with you guys watching. I'm just going to take a third of that root base off. Okay. If I hit something solid, I'm going to stop and maybe take less off. Just starting to hit something solid, but it made it through. Okay, so you can see here, just started to hit something solid here. I don't know whether you can see that, but you might be able to hear it. That's the bottom of the tree. I don't want to cut into that too much. And, wow. I think I can take the top of the tree down a bit because I feel like there's a lot of, I should show you that actually. That's the bit that I cut off. The disc that I cut off. Now, unless I get really brutal on the bottom, I feel like that's all I can take off for now. But one thing I reckon I can do first is work out how much I can take off the top. So I'm going to go and get my root hooks that Stephen McKay made for me. And we're just going to work on, I'll bring you in a bit closer. Okay, so we're going to have the root hooks. See how we go. Just have another bit of port. Might put that to the side because I don't want to get soil and bugs in there. You can see on the top of this soil, it's all that liverwort stuff has taken over, so I'm not going to try and keep any moss or anything on top, because to be honest, most of it's not. And then what I'm going to do, I'm not going to get super aggressive, I'm just going to carefully rake out to the edge. I'm not going to get super aggressive. Do it a lot more gentle, because this is a more refined, you know, more prized tree, so you've got to be more careful. Some of the beginner trees that aren't so refined and you don't care about, you just treat them like crap, really. But to be honest, you can treat even this tree, deciduous tree, like crap, because, you know, deciduous trees love it. They love to be treated like crap. They're so hardy that they just grow back no matter what you do to them. And hopefully under here we can find some decent roots. So, and what else will do, if I can get the top down by an inch or so, it'll actually act the same as cutting the stuff off the bottom. Then I can put it into the shallower pot without it mounding up. And then if you mound it up too much, it's hard to water because it doesn't penetrate properly, it just runs off the side. Whereas if I can reduce the top and the bottom and have it reasonably level and then mossed, the water that does go in it will actually go through it and soak right through. So if I can thin this out a bit, it'll be good. See how we go. If I have to mound it up a little bit, I will. But it's not recommended to mound them up too much. You really shouldn't be mounding up the trees too much. I know I do sometimes, and generally it's my budget that stops me from getting a big enough pot for a tree. And because of my poor budget, I end up with a smaller pot than the tree needs, or the wrong pot, and I have to then mound up the soil so that the tree is deep enough in the pot. But if you've got unlimited funds and want to go out and get the perfect pot that's going to fit in without having to mound it up, that's good for you, and I suggest you do that. The other thing you could do is, if you don't want to compromise the tree at all and you want to make sure it gets watered properly, is just keep it in nursery containers. You can do that, and I won't hold it against you if you keep them in nursery containers. And I do keep a fair few of my trees still in nursery containers, and some of them probably deserve to not be in one, but they still are. Okay, so we'll keep working around this one. I mean, like this one here, it's only now that it's coming out of a nursery container, even though it's already so well developed and ramified. It's only now coming out of this nursery container or colander and trying to find its way into a bonsai pot. But I feel like this one's going to be fine. I feel like this pot is going to fit this tree perfectly. and also to improve my funds to be able to buy better pots and all sorts of stuff. One, I'm thinking about monetizing, which I've said for a while now. But another thing, I'm actually thinking I might look into some stubby holders. I might look into some stubby holders, or maybe, who knows, maybe a beanie, stubby holder, beanie, or a shirt. Aussie Bonsai Bloke. I just got to get something worked out and have a look at who I can get to make them for me for a reasonable price, work out the shipping, and I might get onto something like that, maybe stubby holders, and that'll help me buy some pots and just, you know, support the channel a little bit with you guys getting something for your money. So they might be a little bit dearer than a normal stubby holder, so sorry about that if they are, but they will have, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is the postage, I guess, will be nearly as much as a stubby holder. So that's going to be an issue that drives the price up. It's not going to be like you just go to a shop and get one cheap as cheap. You know, they might even be $20 a stubby holder, which is dear, I know, but it is helping out the channel, and it gives the company that makes a stubby holder a little bit of money, me some money, and Australia Post lots of money. I wish it wasn't like that, but I just don't know how to. I don't know how these Chinese companies can send something to your door that only costs $2. There might be this big free postage. How do they do that? I don't know. But anyway, so I'm thinking about stubby holders or something. They won't be cheap as cheap because of postage and all that, and I want to make a tiny bit of money out of it just to help me along and help the channel, help all the little bills that I have, maybe get some better pots. But anyway, you'll have a stubby holder, Aussie Bonsai Bloke, and maybe a beanie, depending on how the stubby holders. I might start with stubby holders, depending on how they go. Then I might change over to beanies, or maybe a t-shirt. The only issue with a t-shirt is I have to do it in a lot of different sizes, but that's okay. As long as there's a demand for it, I might do it. So I'm just radically, I suppose it is, going around the tree and just brushing the bottom of the root ball out. Just keep brushing it out. So if you guys have stuck around to watch all this, you'll know about the stubby holders. And if you've just gone to Hyperlapse, well, you're not going to hear what I'm saying now anyway, but you won't know about me planning on stubby holders. So I have to come up with a design and a supplier, get them done, then, you know, open up for some orders and see how I go getting a few stubby holders. So that'll be pretty cool. Good way to make a little bit of money, but at the same time supplying you guys with something to remember this crazy guy by. Look at that, it's going to fit easy. It is rocking a little bit. I would like to just reduce it a bit. You can see it rocking on that big root at the bottom. Like I say, I've just got to try and reduce it a little bit somehow. So what I'm going to do, I've got some cutters here, branch knob cutter. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop into that a little bit. Just chop, chop, chop away, chop, chop, chop away. And hopefully chopping away this bottom here doesn't affect the tree too much. So yeah, we could have stubby holders soon, we'll see. Just keep chopping the bottom. Keep chopping this real hard bit that's stopping it from getting down deep in the pot and making it rock. Actually, I must say, this thing has a really good root spread for a fairly dodgy bonsai bloke like me, who doesn't really pay a lot of attention to roots. Maybe I did in the past, I don't know. But I know I've grown this from nothing, collected it out of the ground, and it's got a really flat root spread with quite a good root spread of roots on top. I almost look like a bloody professional. I tell you what, bloody beauty. Anyway, I'm going to hose that out a bit and then bring it back in the shed. So it's dark outside now, so I'll hose it off and then come back in. I won't take out the hosing off, it's just hosing it. And then hopefully we can see more of the top. Put it in the pot and put some moss on it and give you a spin. So I'll be back in a sec. Cheers. G'day, welcome back. You can see now that I've chopped the bottom of these roots off. This big root here that was underneath. See, it's really flat, really stable, so there's going to be no need to wire it in. If I didn't cut that off, I would have had to wire it in. You can see I've cut back as many roots as I dare. There's still quite a heap there. Good root spread. You can see the base of this tree is pretty amazing, really. Actually quite an amazing base. And from the front, you get to see this nice, beautiful big one out wide here. Strong one here, another one at the back here. And all the little fine ones coming off it. Beautiful, beautiful base on that. This tree has done itself. Have you ever had a boring, well, I hate to call this tree boring, but have you ever had a boring tree as far as it's just done itself? Everything it's done itself. And you just do a bit of a pot, bit of a trim here and there, and it just does itself. Well, I put this in the ground, I dug it up, I cut it back hard, I carved it. It's grown all these branches out. It's done itself. I mean, it may have offered a little bit of a direction here and there, but in general, it's done itself. Right. Just a beautiful tree. I love this tree. Just absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to look after it a bit more. So all I have to do in this pot is cut a couple of these. And they're just going to crisscross over the bottom, just to block the holes. I'll put them up the other way, the way they naturally curve. Then I'm just going to put some of my bonsai mix in. Osmocote, cactus and succulent. Never make my own, can't be bothered, I'm too lazy. Just can't be bothered making my own soil. I know a lot of people do. I know there are benefits to making your own, you know what goes into it and all that, but I don't know, you know, I don't even have time for bonsai half the time, let alone making my own soil. So I'm sorry, I just don't get around to it. I don't really want that right in the middle above the pot. I might even go slightly to the one, that's too far. Maybe there, just slightly to the left, just a bit. It's a beautiful tree. I don't know, this tree is just, I'm serious, it's just done itself. I've had not much to do with this tree. with my own hands. I'll show you this soil after too, like I'm not joking. This cactus and succulent mix, to me, is better than the bonsai mix that they make by Scott's Osmocote. And I actually really like their cactus and succulent mix as a bonsai mix. I think it's pretty good. I'll show you after, but for now, let's just put some soil in the sides here. Okay, I don't want to cover up. It's so hard not to cover up the Nabari every time. Well, you have all these plans not to, but then when you start repotting and put some moss on it, you end up covering up all the good points of the Nabari. So the back has some higher roots, so I'm going to have to pile the back up a little bit more. A few higher roots that will actually help some, I don't know, inverse taper or undercutting on the Nabari at the back, because underneath where those roots come out, it really cuts back in hard. So if I can keep those roots at the back alive and let them get thick, it's going to create some good root system off the back of the tree, and then even the back of the tree is going to look as good as the front. So, well, as far as the roots, and hopefully as far as the top too. You know, I always have a front and back of a tree, but I like it to look good from all sides too. I don't like to do a two-dimensional tree where you can only look at it from the front and every other direction looks crap. I don't like that either. So I try to make the tree look good from all sides with good depth. The way to do that is to have good depth as far as good back branching. Try to get good roots in the back. And just it just makes it look good from all the way around the tree. So what I'm going to do now is, I think I'm pretty right pushing in the soil there. Got my back roots here. I'm going to put some moss over it to just keep everything alive. I'm going to try to expose side root a bit here. I might even clean this trunk from all this potting mix with a toothbrush, so that the actual roots that it does have stand out a lot, because quite often I repot a tree and it's very hard on camera for you guys to see the good Nabari that it's got, because it sort of gets stained. I guess you could almost say stained with the potting mix, so you don't get to see it. So I'm going to try and show you on this tree how good this root system is. We hope. So we got it to there, right? So she's repotted, and now we're going to go and get some moss, put some moss on it. No worries, cheers. Okay guys, so thought I'd just get my old toothbrush here and just clean off the roots, make them stick out nice and bright. So when I put the moss on here, you can actually see the Nabari in the camera, because normally I don't go to this trouble, and I know for shows and stuff they do. They really clean up this trunk so that you can see it. Just be careful not to scratch up all the bark. All you're doing is removing the dirt and grime, not the bark. Just want to remove all the dirt and grime down to the roots on the back. You can see, I hope I'm not spinning that out of film. so hopeless. Okay, so on the back here you can see these little roots. I'm keeping them, so I'm not going to be scrubbing the back. They've got to get big and strong to make the back of the tree look nice and strong. Okay, so I'm just going to brush this side here, or its bum, clean its bum. Make sure there's no skid marks on there. Work my way around to the leg, around here. So I'm cleaning its leg, its left leg in this situation. Okay, so its left leg's getting clean. Its kneecap, it's almost got a kneecap in here. Now we're cleaning its crutch area. Clean its crutch. Looks like it must be a gal because I can't see anything sticking out of there. Now we'll do its left leg. So that's right, that was its right, now it's its left. And then I'll put moss around everything else. Okay, pretty happy with that. Carefully cleanse the trunk. I'm going to carefully moss it. Good day. Welcome back. Well, I've gone and collected some moss. Don't need any more of this Aussie cactus mix, or my saw, or any of that. I'm backed and finished with all of that. Put it away for now. So, now I'm just going to go around, carefully moss the tree. Done the toothbrush around the place. It's so hard to try and keep it exposed because the moss is quite fat. So to put it on while still exposing those roots that you want to show, and the roots here are hard to expose when you've got fat moss that wants to stick up in the air to stop you from viewing the roots. Root spread. Now I'm just going to keep putting moss around here. Side's fine, side's easy. You just chuck a big chunk in, push it in. There's that bit of moss done. I'll water it here at the end and make sure it drains out pretty well. Okay, just keep moving our way around here. Just want to put a tiny bit of moss in between its little crack there. The old woman's crack in there because definitely doesn't have anything else, so we'll call it the woman's crack. And then we'll work our way around here. Got its left leg there, right leg there, crack there. Put some moss around. Keep mossing. I collected a lot of this moss from my yard. Mostly moss is fine, but you'll find variations in moss that vary a lot. That's a silly statement, Sammy. But what I'm trying to say is you'll find moss in your property or wherever you collect it, one that is a finer moss, and finer moss generally handles the summer better, or you can get a really fat, thick type of, I guess you could really call it sphagnum moss almost, and that, while it looks good during winter, it actually goes off really quick in summer, dies back, and your pot actually looks pretty bare for most of the summer. So if you can find one of these, the best way to explain it is they're a tighter, I guess a tighter, finer moss. It'd be like this here. Okay, I've got two here, I'll compare them. So these two here, this is a tighter, finer moss, this is a leggier, coarser moss. And I'll find that this one here will do much better through the summer heat and still be green, whereas this one here will probably brown off. So if you can, try and keep the finer moss. Put a little bit of the thicker moss in if you want to. Okay. And just hope for the best. So this is the back of the tree that you're looking at now, which is why I'm going right up to the trunk on this side, because there's not really a big root system here. There's a couple of fine roots that come out, and I want to be able to keep those fine roots to get fat, and if they can get fat, they can possibly turn into decent roots at the back, and then we can expose them in the next 5 years. And I say the next 5 years because bonsai is slow. So if you have a fine root growing at the back, it could be 5 or 10 years before you can expose that root. It might be 2 or 3 repottings time until you can finally expose it. So let's hope that because I've cleaned up the trunk a bit, you can see some of that root spread. Got a little bit of moss left over, don't need it. I'll put it back on another plant out in the grow zone. And I'll try to clean up this table just a bit. Getting a mess on the ground, but that's alright. Bonsai. And I'll keep this mesh for another time. Pack up my tools. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a nice relaxing video working on this tree, getting it back into some sort of organisation, getting it out of that weeds, and you've seen it at the start, it was bloody neglected, whereas now it's starting to look like a decent tree that's been well looked after. Even though it's only been looked after for 2 hours. Anyway, so let's do a spin of the tree on the way out. But before that, I just want to say thanks everyone for watching. Cheers for supporting the channel. I love all your comments. Comments are always good. I love the comments. I love to read all the comments, try and reply to all the comments. And you know, that's what makes it worthwhile, the comments, really. Without the comments or the feedback, I would just feel like I'm throwing it out into space. But because you guys give me lots of feedback, lots of comments, subscribe and all that stuff, that's what makes me keep doing it. And I love doing it. And I really had a good time tonight. So, cheers. Thanks for watching. Aussie Bonsai Bloke. I'll give you a spin of the tree on the way out. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers. Oh, and tell your mates. Make sure you tell your mates. Lots of mates. Cheers.